And you would just win like this every day?
Yes. The machine just wouldn't stop paying me.
But not everyone is that lucky.
You lost it all? Lost it all. Every last penny.
Every day, casinos across America install new slot machines on their floors. They run the numbers, test the math, and project their profits. But sometimes, they get it wrong. Today, a former slot technician is revealing the 5 machines casinos wish they never put on the floor. Machines that paid out so much, so consistently, that management panicked and pulled them. These aren't myths. These are real machines that cost casinos millions before they were quietly replaced. If you ever find one of these, consider yourself lucky, especially the 4th machine. Machine number 1, Buffalo Gold by Aristocrat. Released in the mid-2010s, Buffalo Gold quickly became one of the most played slot games in the world. Its design encouraged long sessions with its hypnotic gameplay and frequent bonus triggers, and it became a huge hit with loyal players across every demographic. Walk into any casino during peak hours, and you'd hear that distinctive buffalo sound effect echoing across the entire slot floor. Players absolutely loved this game. But casinos? They started to regret installing it almost immediately. Here's why. The gold head feature stacked multipliers incredibly fast. When you triggered the free spins bonus, the gold buffalo heads would appear on the reels and apply multipliers to your wins. And here's the kicker. Free spin retriggers could lead to massive extended play sessions where multipliers kept stacking on top of each other. I've personally witnessed players trigger over 100 free spins from a single bonus round. Do you know what that does to a casino's hold percentage? It destroys it. And that famous buffalo chant that plays when you hit the bonus? It became a warning sign for casino management. Every time they heard it, especially multiple times in a short period, they knew money was walking out the door. As a slot tech, I could see on the back end how long players sat at these machines. The ticket printers never stopped. I'd have to refill the paper 2, sometimes 3 times per shift on popular Buffalo Gold machines. Players were cashing out winner after winner, and the actual hold percentage was way lower than what Aristocrat and the casinos had originally projected. The machines were supposed to hold around 8 to 10% for the house. In reality, many Buffalo Gold machines were holding closer to 4 to 6% during peak periods. That's a massive difference when you're talking about millions of dollars in daily wagers. Casinos tried lowering the RTP on newer installations, but player outrage was instant and fierce. These machines had built such a loyal following that any changes were immediately noticed. Players would actually track which specific machines had better payout rates and would only play those units. I saw casino forums where players documented individual machine numbers and their performance over weeks of play. The level of dedication was incredible. And here's how smart players truly exploited Buffalo Gold. They learned to time the game cycles before the bonus round. Veterans knew exactly when a machine was getting ready to trigger based on the frequency of gold buffalo head appearances during regular play. They'd circle the casino floor like hawks, watching other players. The moment someone left a machine after playing through several near misses, these experienced players would swoop in and collect the bonus that was already statistically primed to trigger. I watched this happen daily. Players who understood the pattern and had the patience to wait made serious, consistent money. Some of them treated it like a part-time job. One regular I knew would come in every Tuesday and Thursday morning, scout Buffalo Gold machines for 2 hours, and only sit down when he found one that was ready. He told me he averaged $800 to $1,200 per week doing this, just from Buffalo Gold. Eventually, Aristocrat released updated versions with adjusted math models, but the original Buffalo Gold machines remain legendary among Advantage players. Machine number 2, Quick Hit Platinum by Bally. Quick Hit Platinum was one of Bally's biggest successes in the late 2000s and early 2010s. Simple, clean interface with classic slot symbols, fast-paced gameplay that appealed to both casual players and serious gamblers. And it featured frequent, quick-hit bonuses across multiple reels that could appear at any time. Players loved it because wins came often enough to keep you engaged. Casinos? They learned to hate it very quickly. The problem was hit frequency, and it was worse than anyone at Bally or the casinos anticipated. These machines were expected to hold around 8 to 9% for the house based on the original math model. In practice, they held closer to 5 to 6%, and some machines in high-traffic areas performed even worse. The game was designed to give frequent small wins to keep players in their seats. But Bally miscalculated the cumulative effect. When you combine high hit frequency with fast gameplay speed, players could spin through 600 to 800 rounds per hour. And those frequent small wins weren't small anymore when they added up over extended sessions. I'd see the weekly payout reports, and quick-hit platinum machines were consistently at the bottom of the performance list. Some casino floors were actually running net losses weekly on this entire series. Management was absolutely panicking. I remember one floor manager telling me, "If I could replace every quick-hit machine overnight, I would do it in a heartbeat." But they couldn't, because players specifically sought these machines out. Taking them away would have caused an uproar and sent those players to competing casinos. Casinos eventually worked with Bally to reprogram the math model on newer versions, lowering the hit frequency and adjusting the payout structure. But those early quick-hit platinum machines? They were absolute gold mines for players who could find them. And here's the player edge that made it even worse for casinos and even better for smart gamblers. The game featured a progressive bonus meter at the top of the screen. Quick-hit symbols would partially fill this meter, and when it filled completely, you'd trigger a significant bonus payout. Regulars learned to hunt for machines with partially completed bonus meters. If 3 out of 5 bonus spots were already lit, or if the progressive meter was 70 to 80% full, experienced players would jump on that machine instantly. They knew the bonus trigger was statistically close, often within the next 50 to 100 spins. I watched players develop actual strategies around this. They'd walk the floor, check the bonus meter status on every quick-hit machine, and create a mental map of which ones were ready. Then they'd camp out near those machines, waiting for casual gamblers to give up and leave. The moment a seat opened up, they'd jump in and collect the bonus that someone else had unwittingly built up. I saw players make $200, $300, even $400 in an hour just by being patient and strategic. Some advantage players would even work in teams. One person would scout the floor and text their partner when they found a machine with a nearly full bonus meter. By the time security caught on to what they were doing, these teams had already made thousands. Casinos tried to counter this by resetting bonus meters more frequently or hiding the visual progress indicators, but the damage was done. Quick-hit platinum taught the industry an expensive lesson about transparency in bonus features. Machine number 3. Lightning Link High Stakes by Aristocrat. Lightning Link High Stakes was designed to be the ultimate excitement machine. It was a progressive link system connecting multiple machines across an entire casino floor, sometimes even across multiple casinos in the same corporate chain. The jackpot potential could reach 6 figures, and the flashy lights and sounds drew crowds of spectators whenever someone was playing. Casinos installed these thinking they'd be profitable crowd draws that would keep players engaged for hours. They were completely wrong, especially in the first year of deployment. The linked jackpot system hit far more often than Aristocrat's models predicted, especially in the early rollout before the first major firmware update. Casinos completely underestimated how quickly the linked progressive meters could climb when you had 20, 30, or 40 machines all contributing to the same jackpot pool. The math assumed average player volume and average bet sizes. But Lightning Link attracted heavy bettors, people playing max bet on these machines, spinning as fast as possible, trying to trigger that linked jackpot feature. This meant the progressive meters climbed 2 to 3 times faster than projected. And when jackpots are hitting 2 to 3 times more frequently than your financial models predict, casinos lose money. A lot of money. Some smaller venues took absolutely massive financial hits when multiple jackpots dropped within the same weekend. I'm talking 5, 6, 7 major jackpots totaling hundreds of thousands of dollars in 72 hours. Management teams were scrambling to figure out what went wrong. I was working at a mid-sized property when we had 3 grand jackpots hit in one Saturday night. 3 separate players, all within 4 hours of each other, won over $50,000 each. The casino lost over $160,000 in a single shift. The CFO was on site by midnight, demanding explanations. We had to pull diagnostic reports, review every spin, and send everything to Aristocrat for analysis. We had to update the firmware twice just to stabilize the jackpot frequency and adjust the progressive increment rates. And every time you heard that jackpot alarm go off, casino managers would literally wince, because it was happening again and again. Same machines, same weekend, and there was nothing they could do to stop it without pulling the machines entirely. The back-end data showed a clear, undeniable problem. The progressive meters were climbing too fast, and the trigger thresholds were set too low. By the time casinos and Aristocrat realized the extent of the issue, players had already figured out the patterns and were exploiting them ruthlessly. And that's where the real player edge came in. Smart players, especially advantage players and professional gamblers, watched the jackpot meters religiously. They tracked the sweet spot, when the progressive was statistically due to hit based on historical data. And they only played when conditions were optimal. There were entire Reddit threads, gambling forums, and private Discord channels documenting exactly when to play Lightning Link at specific casinos. Players shared real-time updates on jackpot meter levels, recent hit history, and machine performance data. I personally knew a group of advantage players who made it their full-time job to track Lightning Link progressives across multiple casinos in the same city. They'd drive from property to property, check the meters, and only play when the math was in their favor. And it worked. These guys were pulling down consistent 5-figure wins, sometimes multiple times per month. They treated it like a business, with spreadsheets tracking meter levels, hit frequencies, and expected value calculations. Casinos eventually recalibrated the entire system, reducing increment rates and raising trigger thresholds. But the damage was done. Lightning Link high stakes cost some properties hundreds of thousands, even millions, in unexpected payouts during those first 12 to 18 months. Some smaller casinos actually pulled the machines entirely and ate the lease termination fees because they couldn't afford to keep losing money at that rate. Machine number 4. Monopoly Money Grab by WMS. Monopoly Money Grab was based on the classic Monopoly board game that everyone knows and loves. It launched with a flashy bonus wheel feature, big multiplier rounds, and interactive elements that made players feel like they were actually playing Monopoly on a slot machine. The nostalgia factor was absolutely huge. Casual players, especially older demographics who grew up playing Monopoly, absolutely loved this machine. It became one of the most popular titles on the floor within weeks of installation. But there was a problem. A very significant, very expensive problem that WMS and the casinos didn't discover until thousands of units had already been deployed. Early production models had a feature glitch in the bonus calculation software. Bonus triggers were happening more often than the approved math model specified, and worse, the random multiplier calculation algorithm was stacking incorrectly, leading to oversized wins that weren't supposed to be mathematically possible. When a player triggered the bonus wheel, the game was supposed to apply one multiplier to the final payout. But due to a coding error, some spins were applying multiple multipliers simultaneously. A player might trigger a 5x multiplier and a 3x multiplier on the same bonus round, resulting in a 15x payout instead of just 5x. This was devastating for casino hold percentages. Players were winning 2, 3, sometimes 5 times more than the game was designed to pay out. Casinos didn't announce this publicly, obviously. They couldn't afford the PR nightmare of admitting their machines were broken in a way that favored players. Instead, they worked with WMS to quietly swap out the early versions within months of installation, usually under the cover of routine maintenance. I was one of the techs doing those swaps. And let me tell you, it was sketchy. We were told to do the replacements during off hours, usually between 2 and 4 in the morning when the casino floor was nearly empty. Management explicitly didn't want players noticing that their favorite Monopoly machines were being replaced with different units. When you're pulling slot machines at 3 a.m. and replacing them with identical-looking, updated versions, you absolutely know something's up. And players definitely noticed. They'd come back the next day, play their favorite Monopoly machine, and immediately sense something was different. The bonus rounds weren't triggering as frequently. The multipliers weren't stacking the same way. But they didn't know why, and casinos certainly weren't going to explain it. But those players who got to experience the original bugged versions before the update rolled out, they made out like absolute bandits. Some players could hit multiple feature bonuses within minutes because the trigger frequency was set way too high. The math was completely broken in their favor. I personally knew regulars who made their entire rent and utilities money off Monopoly money grab for a solid month before the machines got patched. They'd come in daily, play for 2 to 3 hours on max bet, and leave with $400 to $600 in profit. Every single day. One player told me he won $11,000 across 3 weeks playing exclusively Monopoly money grab. He knew something was off, that the game was paying too much. So he milked it for everything it was worth before it got fixed. And then one morning, he came in and the machine was gone. Replaced overnight. He asked me what happened, and all I could tell him was scheduled maintenance. He knew. I knew. But we both played dumb. Once the firmware update rolled out across all remaining machines, those absurd wins disappeared completely. The game played exactly as intended, with normal bonus frequency and correct multiplier calculations. Machine number 5, Wheel of Fortune Classic by IGT, Wheel of Fortune Classic. The most iconic, most recognizable, most beloved slot series ever created in the history of casino gaming. The classic versions from the early 2000s, particularly the models released between 2000 and 2005, had insanely generous payout math compared to modern standards. We're talking RTP, or return to player percentages, between 95 and 97%. That was absolutely unheard of for slot machines at that time. To put that in perspective, most modern slot machines operate between 85 and 92% RTP. Anything above 93% is considered extremely player-friendly. So a machine paying out at 96 or 97%, that's practically giving money away by casino standards. Combined with the famous wheel spin bonus feature, players were hitting consistent mid-tier payouts, not just occasional massive jackpots that reset your bankroll for a moment before you lose it all back. These were consistent, steady, reliable wins that kept your bankroll healthy and growing over extended sessions. Casinos absolutely hated it. I remember sitting in a meeting where one casino manager said, and I'm quoting him directly here, "If I could pull every single Wheel of Fortune machine off this floor right now and replace them with anything else, I would do it in a heartbeat. These machines are bleeding us dry." But they couldn't, because Wheel of Fortune was, and still is, the most popular slot brand in America. Players specifically come to casinos to play Wheel of Fortune. If a casino removed them, those players would just go to a competitor down the street. So casinos were stuck hosting machines they knew were too generous, too player-friendly, and too expensive to operate profitably. The sound of that iconic wheel spinning, with the clicking sounds as it slowed down and Pat Sajak's voice announcing your prize, was absolutely beautiful for players. For casino management, it was the sound of money walking out the door. I'd be doing routine maintenance on other machines, and I'd hear that wheel spin sound effect 20, 30 times per hour. And every time, I knew some player just won a decent payout. It was relentless. Eventually, IGT released newer, significantly tighter editions of Wheel of Fortune with much lower payback percentages, typically in the 88 to 91% range. Casinos couldn't replace the classics fast enough. They'd phase them out gradually, swapping 1 or 2 per month so players wouldn't notice the entire bank disappearing overnight. But for years, those original classic Wheel of Fortune machines were objectively the best bet on any casino floor. If you understood probability and return to player math, you played Wheel of Fortune Classic exclusively. There was no logical reason to play anything else, and savvy players knew exactly how to maximize their advantage on these machines. Next time, I'll show you how to spot when a modern slot machine is ready to pay out, using the same back-end data and diagnostic indicators that casinos track in real time every single day. You're definitely going to want to see that. Hit that subscribe button if you love hearing the real, uncensored stories from behind the casino floor. Drop a comment if you've played any of these 5 legendary machines. And if you hit big on one of them, I absolutely want to hear your story. Tell me how much you won and which machine paid it out. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.